Domantas Sabonis shares the real reason why Malik Monk chose to return to the Sacramento Kings. Plus, he talks about DeMar DeRozan and how much easier DeMar makes Domas's job and how much better it makes the Kings offense overall. I'll play it all for you right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all offseason long. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. And Domantas Sabonis is the third of the Kings' big three to hold basketball camps this offseason. Maybe more of them have, and I'm not aware, but all three of them have held a basketball camp at a place called Hardwood Palace, which is in Rockland. And it's actually a place that's near and dear to my heart because I grew up going to basketball camps and playing there myself as a kid. It's a great facility, massive warehouse, gets hot as hell during the summertime though. So shout out to those kids that play in there and deal with all that. But it's been really cool to watch and to cover these camps that these King stars have put on and how community driven they are and how ingrained they are here in Sacramento. So Fox did one. That's where we talked to Fox about Malik Monk before he made his decision. Malik Monk did one, and Malik didn't really speak to the media at that one, but we got to see him interact. And then now Domantas Sabonis held one during the weekend or over the weekend. And we got the opportunity to go out and cover that and speak with Domas a little bit. And he had a lot of great things to say. Now, the majority of what he talked about actually had to do with DeMar DeRozan. And initially, I was going to lead with all the stuff that he had to say about DeMar DeRozan. But my favorite quote that Domas had was him talking about Malik Monk. It's actually two quotes that I spliced together, answering two questions. He talks about how surprised he was that Malik decided to stay in Sacramento. And he also shared his real reason for why Malik decided to say. It's kind of a throwaway line, but I think it's a lot of fun. I titled the podcast after it because, again, I think it speaks to this team and the camaraderie, which, by the way, I'll share with you what the team is doing together right now. That's actually happening right now. So I'll share with that in just a second. But here is Domantas Sabonis talking about Malik Monk.
I was actually very surprised. I was talking to him a lot during the year, and I thought we would have lost him, but I'm happy he stayed. I think it's the best decision for him, and for us. I just think he didn't want to leave me, so that's the main thing. But I'm happy, he's here. He's one of the most important players on our team, and having him on and off the court with us has helped us a lot these last 2 years.
Domantas Sabonis says that Malik Monk stayed in Sacramento primarily because he didn't want to leave Domas. Sure, I'll clickbait it. I'll run with it. I'll have fun with it. It's the offseason, man. It's the middle of August or end of August. What do you want me to do? It's fun. And I think it just speaks to kind of the camaraderie of this Kings team. Monk and Sabonis have a fantastic, so many of these guys have fantastic relationships, right? We know Fox and Monk are best friends. Monk and Sabonis have an unbelievable two-man game. Point guard, big man, they're picking roles together. So of course we'll get to see more of that here in Sacramento, which we're very, very excited about. And again, it just speaks to just how much the main guys of this group get along together. Domas also spent a lot of time here. I'm not playing this for you, but he spent a lot of time talking about his family, and De'Aaron Fox and Rasay just gave birth to their daughter. So their second kid together, and Domantas Sabonis has his kids. So these guys are going through it together. They're trying to figure out how to win a championship here in Sacramento. They're calling this place home, signing long-term contracts. Hopefully Fox will sign a big extension here in the near future, a supermax extension maybe by the end of this year. These are guys that are walking through life together, right? And they have the chemistry on the floor. They have the chemistry off the floor. We remember Uncle Keegan last year with spending so much time with De'Aaron Fox and basically helping to raise Reign in his own way. So it's fun to watch this group. And we've learned or found out that apparently a group of them right now are down in San Diego, I believe, working together, getting work together. We don't know who specifically. We know Domas is there. I think it's safe to assume Malik and Fox are there, or maybe Keegan's there. We don't know for sure who's actually there, but this is very on par with who Domas is, right? Like Domas flew to LA to get work in with DeMar DeRozan. You're going to hear him talk about that more in just a little bit. Domas 2 years ago, or a little over 2 years ago, when it was his first full offseason here in Sacramento. It was after the offseason after he got traded midseason. And he invited a lot of the team to his house in Napa to spend some time with him there and to I guess have dinner and hang out and stuff like very much how Vlade was the glue guy for the Sacramento Kings glory teams in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Domas seems to kind of be that guy with this group. And of course, Domas's first instinct on the floor is to, hey, let me get the ball to everybody else. Let me get them fed and let them get theirs. And meanwhile, Domas is collecting triple doubles, but never really talking about it or caring too much about it. He just cares about getting his teammates involved in winning. So that quote, that throwaway fun line about Malik Monk speaks to their relationship. The fact that they're working together just speaks to the teams getting together to work out, just speaks to like how committed this group is together to getting this job done. And I expect the addition of DeMar DeRozan, DeMar is going to walk in there and be a part of this team like he's been there for 3-4 years. Like I just expect that. I expect that with this group. So that was fun. And it was good to hear that from Domas. It was also interesting. Like I'm glad, like Domas is one of us, y'all. Like Domas did not expect Malik Monk to come back. I believe wholeheartedly that he did not expect Monk to come back. Now we know for a fact that Domas, because he said, like, I'm going to be in the air of the Kings. I'm going to be like, we got to get this done. We need to find a way to get this done. Of course, Domas, like we all knew that the Kings could only offer him so much. They could only offer him essentially that $17.5 million per year. So he was sitting there with us going like, we want Malik to come back. We need Malik to come back, but Malik can get more money elsewhere. He's probably going to be gone. And Domas added even more context there. Like having talked to Malik over the course of the season, I thought he was going to go. Like we all knew that Malik Monk could have gotten more money elsewhere because teams were going to value what he was doing. So to hear Domas share how surprised he was when Malik signed and we were all shocked by it happening before draft night and we were all ready to throw parades through the streets of Sacramento just because Malik Monk decided to remain here in Sacramento. Like we're not alone in that apparently because Domas was just as surprised. So we're going to talk a little bit about Domantas Sabonis and hear what he had to say about DeMar DeRozan and working with DeRozan and what DeRozan brings to the Sacramento Kings offense and how much easier DeRozan makes Domas's job. I have all of those clips for you in the next segment. Plus, I want to ask you, you can see the question on the side of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're just listening, think about this and find a way to answer this question for me. And I'm going to talk about it and share my answer to this question in the last segment. But what are you most looking forward to with this Kings season? What are you most looking forward to? We're going to talk about that at the end of the show as well. But first, we got to hear about Domas talking about DeMar DeRozan. We'll get to that in just a second after I tell you more about our main sponsor here of the Locked On Kings podcast. Today, I'm talking about Game Time. Game Time is the ticket site that you need to go to, the ticket site to rule them all. You know, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so let's get that Lord of the Rings reference. One ticket site to rule them all. That is Game Time. And Game Time, they're adding new features every single day, it feels like. And their new feature now is probably the best that they've added. It's called Game Time Picks, and it makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. What Game Time Picks does, it filters out all of the fluff, right? And only shows you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, right? Let's say there's a game that there's a lot of tickets available for that particular game. And you can scroll through section after section after section, hoping to find that, you know, that deal in the rough, right? You're scrolling through and you see all the money and you see, oh, good deal. Like, forget all the scrolling, right? Game Time is going to pick the best deals in certain specific sections, and it is going to put it front and center for you so you can make your decision quickly. And they're all about quick decisions at Game Time. Why? Because Game Time encourages you to buy tickets last minute. because their deals are as good as they could possibly get last minute, right? So Game Time doesn't want you to buy your tickets for a 7 o'clock tip-off of Kings Lakers until about 6 p.m. when you know for sure you're going to go, right? Because the deals are going to be incredible at that time. And then with these new Game Time picks features, you can get those tickets really, really quickly before a Lakers fan goes and snags them so you can get into the Golden One Center. Game Time is the number one place for you to go and get your tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On NBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, now the real meat and potatoes of what Domantas Sabonis talked about at his basketball camp. He's talking about DeMar DeRozan. We were all very excited to be able to hear from Domas. This is, of course, was after he had gotten back from spending a few days in LA working with DeRozan. Doug Christie was there as well, which was really, really cool. So we were very excited. We're all very excited to hear what Domas had to say about DeMar DeRozan. So let's start with that. Domas's thoughts on the addition of DeMar.
It was really cool. We spent a week together, just trying to build that chemistry, getting some good work in. Excited at that point. Nothing was falling through, so getting a bit frustrated. And happy he's here, and then getting to spend that week with him in LA, getting to know him more, I'm really excited.
Again, Domas is one of us because he's talking there like, I was getting frustrated because he saw what we saw, right? Oh, Lauri Markkanen? Oh, Brandon Ingram? Who else? Is Kyle Kuzma? Is any of this actually going to happen? Or are the Kings just going to be involved in every freaking rumor on the planet? And then, they're out on that. Oh, they're out on that. Oh, that one's not realistic. Boom, DeMar DeRozan is a Sacramento King, right? So he rode that wave with us, right? He rode that wave with us, although he was a little more involved in the process than we were. I think DeMar shared with us that he had ended up meeting with DeMar, meeting with Domantas Sabonis before making his decision. I do remember DeMar sharing with us that he had phone calls with De'Aaron and Malik, and those were the main guys that helped him make that decision as well. But Domas, again, he's one of us, man. He rode that wave of the offseason with us, so I'm glad they got some work together. Now, of course, one of the primary criticisms, because people always have to find criticisms of what the Kings do, one of the primary criticisms of the DeMar DeRozan addition is, DeMar DeRozan's old. Oh, his age, blah, blah, blah. Domas addresses DeMar's age concern as someone who actually has worked with him physically in person. And Domas also talks about how much easier his job is now that DeRozan is part of the Kings.
I mean, he does not look, working with him and how hard he works and how he takes workouts serious, at that age, you definitely can't tell he's older. Nothing. I think he just makes my life way easier. I just got to keep doing my job. Having him on the court is going to give me a lot more options. Same thing for him, so we're excited. We got some good work in together.
I'm very excited for this season to start so that we don't have to talk about DeMar DeRozan's age at all. Because when DeMar DeRozan takes the floor and plays just as efficiently and just as well as he's always played, that doesn't mean there might not be a statistical drop-off. In fact, I expect there to be a statistical drop-off with DeMar DeRozan simply because he's no longer the top guy. He's joining Fox and Sabonis and Keegan and Malik and all the scorers that this Kings team has. He doesn't have to be the guy that he was in Chicago or in Toronto or in San Antonio, but he's still the same caliber of player that can give the Kings a boost in big moments in certain areas. So I'm very excited to see him continue to be the efficient mid-range threat scorer that he is. And everybody can shut the hell up about how old he is because it doesn't matter. Again, look at his numbers, look at his efficiency, look how good he has been every single season, even since he's been in his 30s. There's zero indication for him slowing down. It's the same argument we have for LeBron. LeBron's a year older, so he's down. He's going to slow down at some point. Yeah? You still waiting for that? Tom Brady's 40 years old. Oh, he's going to slow down at some point. Yeah? He won a Super Bowl. We're not, age doesn't have to be that big of a factor. And it clearly, statistically, has not been a factor for DeMar DeRozan at this point. And Domantas Sabonis is telling you, he doesn't look like that age. He doesn't play like that age. So there's no reason to be concerned about it. People are just going to keep pointing that out. Now, One of my favorite clips of what we got from Domas is the last one I'm going to play for you. It's him talking about what DeMar DeRozan brings to the offense and how DeMar DeRozan changes the offense.
I think it's going to be good for us. It's going to make us think differently on the court, move differently, really read each other. Because we're used to playing one style, but he does something at a Hall of Fame level that we're going to have to play around, and that's just going to make teams. It's going to make it so much harder for teams to guard us because they're not going to know where we can basically score from wherever we're in.
Again, the Kings have elite threats at all three levels and multiple guys that can be an elite threat at all three levels. De'Aaron Fox, we know he can shoot the three. De'Aaron Fox at the rim, good luck. De'Aaron Fox from the mid-range, nasty. DeMar DeRozan, more known for the mid-range than he is at the rim and from three-point range. Domantas Sabonis, more known for at the rim than he is mid-range and from three. Keegan Murray, a three-point assassin, right? The Kings have so many weapons on all three levels that defensively, there's always going to be a crack. There's always going to be a chink in the armor. And the Kings have multiple guys at each level that can exploit that. Fox and DeRozan, two of the best mid-range scorers in the league, two of the most clutch scorers in the league. Fox can finish at the rim. Domas can finish at the rim, right? You have the Keegan Murray 3-point threat, the Keon Ellis 3-point threat, the Kevin Huerter 3-point threat, the De'Aaron Fox 3-point threat, the Malik Monk 3-point threat, and Malik Monk's a threat at the rim as well. The pick and roll with Monk and Sabonis, the pick and roll with Sabonis and DeRozan, the dribble handoffs with Sabonis and DeRozan or Keegan or Kevin. Like, forget about it. It's just another layer. In fact, it's multiple layers brought on by one 6-time All-Star caliber player. I don't even know offensively how you begin to game plan for the Sacramento Kings because, again, like I talked about and like I shared with you and from my conversation with an NBA assistant coach, DeMar DeRozan addresses the primary weakness that the Sacramento Kings had offensively from 2 years ago, which was if you can bump them and get them out of their DHO sets, they really only had one guy to fall on. That was Fox. Sometimes they tried to fall on Harrison Barnes, and sometimes it worked. As we know, more often than not, that was not the most reliable option. DeMar DeRozan's a reliable option in those spots. So, yeah, Domantas Sabonis is 100% right. Like, the Kings can score from anywhere. They are way more difficult to guard. I won't say unguardable, but I don't know how you game plan to stop the Sacramento Kings other than hoping that a couple of them are having off nights or trying to take one away as best as you possibly can. Teams are still going to try to force Domantas Sabonis to take that mid-range shot, and I hope Domas is more willing to take. It's not that he's not able; it's willing. Like, he can hit that mid-range shot. We know he can hit it. He has to be willing to shoot through the misses, though. If he misses his first, shoot it again. Misses his second, shoot it again. If they're going to give it to you, you have to exploit that. But DeMar DeRozan adds another terrifyingly fun layer to this Kings offense, and I cannot wait to see it in action. Hey, maybe that is your answer to the next question that we're going to talk about on the next segment of Locked On Kings. What are you most looking forward to about this season? Let's discuss here in a little bit, though, after I tell you some about another great sponsor here of Locked On Kings. I'm talking about FanDuel. We've talked about FanDuel a ton over the seasons that I've been doing Locked On Kings, right? It's America's #1 sportsbook. But we have something different for you. FanDuel has something different for you. Right now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, just $5 on whatever. Could be a football bet, could be a Kings future bet, whatever. Put $5 on the line and you will get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And it's not like, at worst, you're paying $5 for 3 weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket, which is a fantastic deal. But if you're a good gambler and if you know how to use that Kings IQ and that locked on IQ that we help share with you, if you know how to use that properly, you'll make money and still get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. Or you might get unlucky. Things happen in sports gambling. Regardless, you are always guaranteed to get that NFL Sunday Ticket for you to enjoy. Hey, make a bet on an NFL football game and then watch to see if you win that bet on NFL Sunday Ticket. With the YouTube TV-based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. I'm looking forward to reading the answer to this question in the comments, reading the emails about this. If you want to email me, you can, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com. Of course, get loose in the YouTube comment section down below. And you can reach me on Twitter. Tweet me at MattGeorgeSack, or my DMs are always open, even if we don't follow each other. Just DM me the answer to this question. Would love to hear it. What are you most looking forward to this season? What are you most looking forward to from the Sacramento Kings? There's so many ways that we can go. I think a lot of people are naturally just going to talk about the addition of DeMar DeRozan. I'll throw a few out there that I'm very much looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing what Supermax De'Aaron Fox looks like. And what I mean by that is he's the guy, he's fighting for that Supermax contract. All he has to do is make it, I say all he has to do, it's really difficult to do, make an all-NBA team again. Then he's eligible for that Supermax contract. He knows that. He's got his eyes set on that. So what does that look like? I'm very excited to see that. I'm excited to see Keegan Murray defensively. I'm also a little bit nervous about this. I'm not going to lie, but look, Keegan Murray's the guy now that when the Kings play the Lakers, he's guarding LeBron. When the Kings play the Suns, he's guarding KD. When the Kings play the Bucks, he's doing his best, like everybody else does, to stay in front of Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? He's the guy that the Kings are going to primarily put in those spots. Plus, he can rotate and guard guards as well. So he might spend some time on Steph Curry or Devin Booker or whoever top guards in the league. So defensively, is Keegan ready for yet another layer of defensive focus? And then I'm also looking forward to seeing if the Kings defensively as a whole can continue a lot of the great habits that they built towards the end of last season. Now, in the end, the Kings ended up being right around middle of the pack defensively. Well, at the end of last season, they were a top 10 defensive team. The top 10 helped make up for them being in the bottom 10 early on in the year. So I'm not expecting really them to be a top 10 defense from start to finish next year. I'm not, to be honest. But can they be start to finish of the season a middle of the pack defensive team right in that 15 range? That plus the improved offense for the Sacramento Kings, I think it's going to be dangerous. I think it's going to be really, really fun, and potentially could be the difference between the Kings being a 50-win team or not. So again, share with me, what are you most looking forward to this season? And if I could ask a favor of you, first off, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We're closing in. Well, we still got a ways to go, but we're working on getting to 9,000 subscribers, but 10,000 is in sights, which would be fantastic. So I would really appreciate that. Also, if you could leave a review of the Locked On Kings podcast. I haven't asked for this in a while, and some of you have continued to leave reviews, and I really appreciate that. But we have 433 reviews on the Locked On Kings page on Apple Podcasts. That's the best place for you to go to review. If you could go there, that would be huge. Help us get to that 500 plus reviews. Help us get our rating up from 4.6 stars to 4.7 or even higher. Hit 5 stars, and then there's an area for you there. You can leave like a custom review, a little blurb, just like why you like the podcast, why you'd encourage people to listen to the podcast, whatever you want to put in there. It's also honestly a good place for constructive criticism if you have any. Like, oh, I like this episode, but I didn't like this episode. I like when Matt has guests. I don't like it as much as a solo podcast. Whatever. Like, that's a good place to do it. Hopefully it's with a 5-star rating. I would appreciate that so the rating doesn't go down. But it's a good place for you to help support this podcast and also help improve this podcast. So please go and do that if you haven't already. It's really, really quick to do so. If you're a Spotify listener too, there's no custom review there, but you can leave 5 stars there. We have a great rating, like a 4.9 star rating on Spotify, which I really appreciate too. So if you could help with that, that would be fantastic as well. I really, really appreciate your support here through these dog days of the offseason. Hey, also, I did an extensive Kings preview podcast with Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Check out the most recent episode of Locked On Fantasy Basketball for more Kings talk today. We spent about 45 minutes or so diving deep into this Kings season, previewing this Kings season, and you get to hear me as a guest instead of as the host a little bit over there. So go and check that out too if you're looking for something else to listen to. Appreciate your support. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.